I hear this really often. I want to quit my job and find something new that I'm passionate about. I just don't know what that is. And a lot of the times I see people go through this cycle of identity crisis and overwhelm because they've reached a point in their life where they're like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know if this job, this thing, this lifestyle that I'm living is right for me anymore. And I think it's really important that we all hit that point because we've developed enough awareness to question ourselves. Are these life choices that I've made so far really aligned with me? Or have I just been listening to people all this time and going with the flow a little too well and not really listening to myself because I don't know who I am. I don't even know what my voice is anymore. I think it's really wonderful when we hit this point, as scary as it may be, but genuinely, it's a great place to be because we're finally hitting this point where we're waking up and we're asking ourselves, hey, do I want to keep living this way? Because I've gone down that road before thinking, oh, I'm in a good relationship. I've got a great job. I've got a great career. Everything seems fine and dandy. Then I watched like Revolutionary Road and it was kind of like the same. Then it just got really mundane. And I started asking myself, oh my God, is my life going to be like that? Because it's really set. And, it got me to question myself. Okay, is this what I really want? Because at that point, I wasn't happy. I was content with everything and I was privileged and I was so thankful. But it wasn't what I wanted. And I think it's a really great boiling point. And it can lead to wanting to just burn everything down and start all over again, or quit your job and move somewhere and go somewhere totally new and exotic. What I really want to bring forth today is really looking at our conditions, because the conditions are what created or what's tied to our identity, has so much to do with it. And when I'm saying conditions, I'm talking about how we grew up, our culture, social indoctrinations, beliefs. We've been influenced by trends, pop culture, the people that we admire, what they like. People like our parents that we grew up with as a child. Maybe you were told to get vanilla or chocolate or strawberry. There's three choices, but really you liked mango and you didn't know until down the line because you were always offered these three choices: strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla. At some point you realize like, oh my gosh, there's other flavors. I didn't know that. And maybe you get carried away because the flavor of the month is peach mango. And you would have never tried it if it wasn't something that was new and trendy. And that's where pop culture comes in. Like, oh, hey, there's all these flavors. Oh, it's peach mango. And then chocolate Trinity is a new flavor that I heard about yesterday. And it's like, okay, what do I really like? And then there's what I've learned, or I've been given these options, or what mom liked always was vanilla. So I chose vanilla because I like my mom and I'll go with whatever mom says. Or, hey, pop culture's introduced all these new exciting flavors. Let me try them. Ooh, everyone is loving peach mango. It is the rage right now. So I'm going to go for that. But how much of it do you really enjoy it? Do you really like it? Or are you going with what people like? Are you going with the common trend, right? And it's scary to be like, actually, no, like there's this flavor in the back called watermelon, and not a lot of people seem to be gravitating towards it. It's the least scooped flavor. And that's a tell, right? But it's the least scooped flavor. So should I try it? Should I not? And maybe you do. And then you discover like, oh my gosh, I really like watermelon. And that becomes true. And that becomes aligned. And that's exciting. And from there on, you're like, I'm going to keep choosing these things, these flavors, these other choices in life because it's exciting. I know now what it feels like to access watermelon and learn that this is a flavor profile that I really like. And it's not a common trend. It is not what mom and dad or my sister or somebody else who you admire or even an authority figure likes. No, I'm going to play with this. I'm going to explore this. And that is the beauty of starting at zero. We're restarting with a intent to connect with yourself, to be explorative with who you are, your identity. I really want to bring up the story of Alysa Liu, the figure skater who just won a gold medal at the Winter Olympics. Now, I will admit I am not a Olympic fanatic at all. I haven't stayed up or haven't been watching the Olympics at all. But Alyssa Liu's story really inspired me. It caught my eye because it was just so fascinating. And you might have come across this already, but I want to share it anyway. So Alyssa Liu started figure skating recreationally at 5.5. Her dad brought her to a skating rink, thought she could burn some energy, and she started getting really keen. And really quickly, it turned into a competitive sport. And she got really good and she started competing and made her way into the Olympics. She participated in the Beijing Olympics. And from there, at 16, she decided, I'm done. I'm going to retire. I quit. And the world was shocked because she was at the peak of her career. She had a long way to go. She was so young. And I went back and I read different sources as to, in different interviews, why on earth did she quit? And what it was, she was like, I want to explore something different. I want to live a normal life. I want to go into education. I want to go to school like a normal person. I want to try different things. And she left and she went to Nepal. She went to the base camp of Mount Everest. She tried different things. And it wasn't until she tried skiing and then out of, you know, pure interest, she went back into the ice skating rink and landed on a double axel and it sparked that fire in her again. It ignited and she fell in love with ice skating again. And she explained that when she left, she really didn't like the sport anymore. Why? Because being an Olympic athlete, she had to live a certain way. She had to eat in a certain way. She had to train for, however many hours a day. And everything was down to discipline. She had to stay in a really restrictive environment where discipline was very much needed in order to continue grooming her in the eyes of her coaches at the time. And it was all with love and great intention, I'm guessing, but that was what was needed at the time for her to reach where she was. And she got tired of that lifestyle and she wanted something new. And she wanted to break free of those restrictions, those conditions, and even that identity. She just wanted to be a teenage girl. And it wasn't until more recently she started rediscovering her love for figure skating. And then she threw in her own juice, her creativity, her style, and she competed on her own terms with her own everything. Her love was there, her enthusiasm there. You could see her on the rink with pure joy, pure enthusiasm. And you can look at how the other figure skaters skated, totally different, night and day difference. She was relaxed. She was light. You could see how much she loved her art, her craft. And when you go in with not restricting yourself, competing with this achiever sort of identity, you can really lean into enjoying it, doing it because you want to rather than you have to. And that is different. That energy, that intention is totally different. You show up differently. And look how when she won, she was being so amazing and had such a good sportsmanship. She was hugging her competitors and just cheering them on the whole way. Even when she was accepting the award, she was so inclusive and it was amazing. And I'm a little off tangent here, but it's just because her story, you could really get a lot out of learning from her story. And I just want to say that here it's similar. Our conditions contribute to us maybe having an identity crisis or feeling overwhelmed. And so look back if you want. What do you like? Who are you? Who are you without all the things that you grew up with? Make a list of 20 things that you grew up doing, whether it was celebrating traditions, going down the corporate route, liking the color pink or green or flavors of ice cream. List 20 things that you often choose, especially on autopilot. That's even better. Ask yourself, okay, what would a normal holiday look like? Or what do you like to do during your free time? Make a list of all these really common things that we dedicate our time and energy to and the decisions that we make on autopilot and go back and look, okay, do I really like this? Or is this just a safe choice? Is this something that I like vanilla, for example, because mom likes it? And is it because mom liked it and I like mom, so I want to choose vanilla? Or does it have a special meaning? Does it have a bond? Does it remind you of a time that was really special? And does that mean you really like it because there was a loving moment there for you? And that's exciting and that aligns because that's very different. Liking something because someone likes it versus you really like it because there's a special meaning, special reason for you, right? So conditions. And, Alyssa lived a really restrictive life, right? She was told when to eat, how to eat, when to train, how to train. We're likely to have significantly different conditions that offer more flexibility, right? So if you're looking at your career, your job, and often I'm using job as a reference because we associate our identity with our job titles a lot. If you ask this question to 10 people, I'm guessing 8 to 9 people would respond the same way. Hi, I'm John. I'm a banker. Hi, I'm John. I work in IT. It's just common. We are so conditioned to do it that way. But if you go back and consider like, oh, are you happy with your job title that's closely associated with your identity? And if you're the type of person who introduces themselves, their name, and then their job title or what they do, that's a tell, right? That your job, your title is associated very strongly with your identity. And if that's the case, look at your conditions. Do you like your job? Do you enjoy it? Or do you like your work environment? Or do you hate it? Do you have toxic colleagues? Do you have a really toxic boss? Those are things that could really make your life miserable if you don't enjoy being around that, yet you are pushing yourself to continue your job, whether to keep the title or to keep your job or to climb up a corporate ladder. And so those are really important conditions to consider. A lot of people, like I said earlier, they want to move, they want to quit their job and move to Bali. What's in Bali? What is it that you're really looking for? Is it the sense of freedom? Is it the slower pace of an island life? Is it what seems to be a closer knit community? And that could be very true, by the way, but I'm just using that as an example because not everyone jumps into a community either. Or is it the simpler life, being a little bit more disconnected feeling like there's less restriction, which is very similar to wanting more freedom. There could be so many reasons, and maybe it's not Bali. And I can tell you, it's unlikely to just be Bali. Living on an island can definitely introduce or teach us to live a slower pace of life and help us understand that maybe we don't need as much. Maybe we don't need as much material things. Maybe we don't need to be so connected on the internet. But it can also be an escape, is what I'm trying to say as well. And at some point, we might have to return to a reality. Most of us do anyway. Maybe it's unsustainable to live on an island for an extended amount of time. And so when we come back to home, the city, or wherever you choose to be, it's hard to integrate that lifestyle, that slower lifestyle or the island lifestyle, the lifestyle that you created into your current. Even for those who didn't move to an island, a lot of us like to go on a retreat, even for a week, for 2 weeks, a wellness retreat. And one of the biggest things that I see along with other practitioners is that it's so hard to integrate that lifestyle into our normal day to day life. And the reason for that is because we can only take so much away from a retreat or an island life, right? We've relied too much on the external environment because the pace during that time on the island or at a retreat was slower, and it was set up that way. And the external world could be slower, and it could help us be slower. But when we return to our normal, busy day to day sort of lifestyle in a city, for example, it's not like that. That external world feels even more chaotic sometimes. We can live a grounded lifestyle for a little while until we get lost in the chaos again. And so, what's really important as well is the internal life, the internal lifestyle, the internal world, helping us really feel that deeper sense of inner peace so that even if it's busy outside, we're okay, we're grounded. And I think that's really important when it comes to identity crisis, because if we are reactive and we allow ourselves to get lost in the world's rhythm, in that pace, in the city that we're living in, the place that we're living in, then we're not really that grounded, right? We have more room to cultivate a stronger foundation within ourselves so that we can become less reactive. But when we are proactive, when we are grounded, the world could move at a million miles and we could still be a little calmer. We could still be a little bit more grounded and able to make better decisions. Yeah, this is a little different, though, I have to say. If there's a crisis going on, a natural disaster, or something that's really urgent and quite an emergency. But again, even in those circumstances, if we are able to stay in alignment with more peace and be a little bit more grounded, even a reaction to something big could be more centered. It could be more calm. And that can help us make better decisions. I'm going off tangent. I'm sorry, but I just really wanted to say when we are feeling these moments of identity crisis, confusion, and we're just feeling really lost, we don't know who we are, I think it's really helpful to go back and ask ourselves, who are we? And start from there. Go back and look at your your lifestyle, your day to day, the things you eat, the choices you make, the flavors you pick, and just ask yourself, are these things I still really like? Are they really aligned to me? And if not, then you know where to start after you look at your list of answers and just take it from there. I hope this is helpful. Sorry if I went a little off tangent, but yeah, I just was thinking about this a lot and just really wanted to share. So, anyway, I hope it helps. Bye for now. Thank you so much.